Hello, hello. Good evening. Hope everyone is well. All right, hello. Hope everyone's great. Happy Thursday. We are going to give a few minutes for people to join and then we'll dive in. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jennifer Main. I'm a transformational guide and an initiator, and I help people step up and step into their highest potential and live their purpose and their calling. Hey, Elizabeth, thanks for joining. Um, this is the fourth Thursday that we have done these calls looking at transformation and what transformation really means. Morning, Jan and Caroline. Morning, after, evening. um, and so we've had an opportunity to look at kind of liberation, what transformation truly means, and tonight we're going to look at impact and what it is to create impact. Because I think for a lot of people, there sometimes often senses of depression or feeling unfulfilled really stem from the fact that they feel like they're not having an impact in the world, that they're not making a difference, and ultimately they feel like they're not living their purpose or living their calling. So we're going to talk a little bit tonight about how to understand the motivation and inspiration behind creating impact and how you can get clearer on that and be more effective with it. So at any point, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask in the chat or share anything that comes up for you in the chat. We're really happy to hear from you. If you're watching the replay, do the same. Just tag me to make sure I see it if it's a question for me. And so in terms of impact, I want you to have a think about, before we kind of dive in, about the impact that you're having right now in the world, the impact you feel like you're having, and how you kind of witness that or measure it, or how do you gauge or judge that. And just have a think about that as we go through this, and hopefully that will become clearer as well. Hello, Tracy. Hey, Beth. Hey, Allison. Time to make impact for sure. Yes. Hey, Abby. Thank y'all for joining. Ooh, sorry. Sorry, Bull. Yes. So when I say the word impact, or when I talk about making an impact, what does that bring up for you? If you want to share in the comments, please do. What words come to mind, what actions, what thoughts, what pictures, what images come to mind when you think about making an impact. Oh, Caroline, perfect topic for tonight. Awesome. I'm glad. That's great. Yes, because I think impact is going to be different for different people. The way you think about it, the way you engage it, the way you judge it is going to be different for each of us, depending on your perspective and what your priorities are and what's important to you. So if anybody has anything they want to share about what impact looks like or feels like to them, that would be great. So as I was saying a few minutes ago, I think that we often can feel helpless or hopeless, or feel weak or insignificant. We can feel invisible, unseen, or unheard if we feel that we are not creating an impact in the world. We often look externally to people around us, and it may be in our family, it might be in our work, it might be our community, depending on what your focus is. But I think a lot of people, if they feel like they're not making an impact, or if they can't see what's being created, then that can create a real sense of feeling unfulfilled, feeling unimportant, feeling like it doesn't matter. And Caroline, making a difference. Perfect. Thank you. And it's interesting because my husband and I had a conversation this morning, and he was saying that he was speaking to some people recently who, I think people who hadn't really interacted so much with him on social media or things like that, but then kind of said that they'd been following and paying attention and getting some information and some clarity from things that he was talking about, but he wasn't obviously getting that feedback. And I know that I've had the same thing happen with clients before. I know one of my first clients ever with healing, I did a session or two with him, and then I didn't hear from him for like a year, and I wasn't sure why. And when he finally got back in touch, he was like, "Oh well, we sorted what needed sorting." So, yeah, so that was a really great lesson for me in terms of kind of an awareness of impact and just really getting clear that we don't always know the impact that we're having, and it's not always something that is very obvious, or not always things that people will share for lots of reasons. So so I think we can get very fixated on this external idea of what that feels like or looks like for us. But what I also want to look at tonight is how your ego or your subconscious, or that part of you that's looking for types of validation or feedback, and do some healing around that. Because if we are doing good work for the accolades, for the praise, for the well done, good job, you may not always get it, or you may not get it in the way that you want it, or in the timing that feels good for you. Because again, the reality is we just don't always know the impact that we're having. So we'll break that down a little bit as well and do some healing with that too. Well, let's see, some good answers here. Abby, inspiring others, contribution, being a change maker. I like that. Allison, creating results, leaving an impression, results some short, making a difference. Tracy, you've been limited to impact only within my family because of health issues. Only within your family? I'm going to challenge you on that, because that might be enough. I do not feel like I'm making an impact apart from sending my 2 amazing children into the world, supporting my husband. How cool is that? That's another thing. We can be very dismissive of the impact that we create, because it may not fit a picture or an idea that we have in our minds. So we'll do some healing around that too. I'm sure you're having an awesome impact, Tracy. Beth, making changes that help people, animals, and the planet in some way. Michelle, being a good parent at the minute, working on self to make a bigger difference in not so distant future. Awesome. Tracy, so before I get sick, I was a perfectionist, overachiever. That have mostly left that behind. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Definitely. So I kind of touched on this idea of motivation being this external thing. And I've talked about this before, but we'll touch on it again, because I think it will be good to kind of delve into and do some healing on too. So there is a difference for me in motivation versus inspiration. And motivation is something that's external, where you are looking at somebody else, where you're watching something happening, and you can be motivated through really negative ways to do things. So often people are motivated by competition, or by jealousy, or by anger, or all these things can motivate us, and they may have some good results, but it is kind of think of, does the end justify the means? And actually, do you feel good about it on your way there if you're being motivated by something that's external, and something that's not guaranteed? Because so often people are, again, they're looking for praise, they're looking for to receive something that they may or may not get, and that can create some resentment. There's an obligation in that, and there can be some deep frustration in that. Whereas inspiration is something that comes from within, and it's something that's a higher vibration and a higher vision. So inspiration always comes from the best of us. It comes from our love and our compassion. It comes from our sense of wanting to create community or tribe or support, or communication. These are the things that really work in with an inspiration. So, for me, it's really about looking at, where does the idea or the drive come from in order to create an impact. And if it's through motivation, I would question you or ask you, or encourage you to dig a little bit deeper into that and see how you could change that. We'll do a little bit of healing with that later on. And the reality is that a lot of things in our lives are some combination of motivation and inspiration. But there's an invitation there to look at the components that are motivated by unhealthy dynamics or things where your subconscious mind is saying, I need to get this, or I need to have this, as opposed to something that's a bit more, higher vibration or altruism. And another thing that I think is worth looking at in terms of impact or creating impact is, are you reacting to someone? I guess this is going to be similar to motivation versus inspiration. Are you reacting to something, or are you responding to something? And there's a very different energy between the two of those. So when I think of a reaction, you can think of it like a knee-jerk reaction where somebody says something and you get triggered and you want to snap back. Or something scares you and you want to lash out. So a reaction is something that is usually off the cuff and not really processed and not really understood and not really felt into in order to really have a response to the world. Whereas a response is something that is going to be more authentic. It's going to be more aligned. I think of reactions are often things that people, they react and then regret it later on. Because I think, I could have handled that differently. I could have done that better. That wasn't me at my best. Whereas a response, when you respond to things that are happening in the world, it's something that's really considered. It's really understood. And so for me, that all comes down to the why. Because, I really do believe that we are all here to create a difference in the world. We're all here to have an impact. Our mission, our calling, our purposes are going to have an impact on the world. Always, always. We wouldn't be here otherwise. We're not here to be islands. We're not here to be by ourselves. We're not here to, not be influenced by each other or to have a dialogue or a community or communication. Excuse me. So whenever we're looking at the why behind it, that often I think is about, requires you to dig a little bit deeper and to get clear on that. And if you're not really clear on your why, you're going to have a harder time maintaining it and sustaining it because it doesn't align, and things will fall apart at some point if they don't align, no matter how hard you keep pushing at it. And it's not really going to have the impact that you want it to have. It's not really going to influence in the ways that you want it to have. And I see this a lot with people who really want to have an impact in their community or in their home or somewhere. But if they don't really understand the why behind what they're wanting to do, it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't have the energy, the power, the structure, whatever is required for that. It just doesn't have that behind it. And so if your why isn't clear, if the intentions behind it are not alive, if they're not aligned, then it makes it very difficult to have that impact. I can already feel some stuff coming up. That's great. So what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to think about your life. And you can think about this on a small scale, like just for you or you and your family. You can think about this on a bigger scale, your community, your country, the world. You can go as big or small as you want. And it may be that there's a few different areas where you're wanting to create some impact. But I want you to just take a moment and breathe into it and identify the areas that you really want to create some impact. Is it within specific communities, specific ways of thinking, specific ways of working? Yeah, what is it that you feel inspired to create an impact within in the world? And again, an emphasis on inspired, not motivated because it pisses you off. That's not enough. You'll burn out with that. So what do you feel inspired to have an impact within? Communities, groups of people, what facets of the world? And if you're feeling weighed down by that, if it's feeling heavy, there's still a lot of motivation in that. There's still a lot of heavy energy within that. So I want you to breathe into it a little bit more. Breathe in some life, breathe in some air. And I want you to ask yourself why. And get clear on that why. Why do I feel inspired to influence? Why do I feel inspired to have an impact? And allow yourself to receive those answers. And again, if it feels like there's some fear in that, breathe through it, release it, and get clear on what you're inspired to do. Right, so taking a couple nice deep breaths. If anybody would like to share what came through for you, or if there's something that feels unsure or unclear, let me know. We'll do some healing around that. We're going to do some meditation in a little bit too. So we'll definitely have some time to do some healing and processing. If there's anything specific that came up with that, we would love to hear from you. And if there's any questions or anything's coming up around the motivation, inspiration, and react and respond, that would be great. Something else I want to touch on, and again, this will probably come in a bit with the motivation, but I think what happens for a lot of people is they start to look at what they don't like in the world because it's something that they feel that they are on some level being controlled by, manipulated by, pressured into, denied. And there's that can create a lot of resentment or anger or frustration or sadness or feeling excluded, things like that. So again, I really want to encourage you to, if there's issues around marginalization or manipulation, control, that stuff, those are all fear-based ideas, which again are not going to give you the power that you really want in order to create an impact. But they may be a starting point for you recognizing areas where it feels like there's injustice or there's unhealthy dynamics within communities or relationships or countries. But there's an invitation here for you to heal your pain, because you can't lead from a place of pain. You can't lead from a place of resentment. You can't lead from a place of anger and rage and hatred. So the invitation is for you to heal your fear, so that if that movement or mission or calling is still important to you, if you still feel inspired by speaking up, by doing some work, by whatever that is, whatever that step is, then it's something that's done out of alignment. It's something that's done out of love. It's something that's done out of real care. Tracy, I really don't know what I'm inspired to do. Sounds like it might be an interesting time for you to delve more into that. Definitely. Michelle, I found it hard to feel into the impact altogether. It felt fuzzy, unclear, no clarity. Okay, so a bit of no clarity. So right now, there's a lot going on in the world. So it may feel like there's just a lot to choose from. And there is. How great that we have all these choices, right? And I do think, if you listen to activists and, people speak, they really talk about not getting burned out and not getting into overwhelm over it, because yes, there's lots happening in the world that, each of us could take some time to make an impact with, which would be great. So if that didn't feel clear for you, then I would say either you haven't found it or you haven't gotten your why clear. And I think in terms of getting your why, it's really about understanding your own priorities and how you want to feel and the kind of world you want to live in. And again, you can do this in big and small ways. So I'll share this with you because this might help you get some ideas and some clarity around this. So there are things that I do on smaller levels, but I know they have an impact. So like for me, I think about how the way we spend our money is the way we vote for the world that we want to live in. So our money has an impact. The way we spend our money has an impact. And if you're buying from big corporations who are dodging their taxes and having children sew buttons onto their clothing and things along those lines, that's the world you're voting for. So something I really have looked at is how can I use my money to influence the way that organizations and corporations and businesses are run. So if you are contributing money towards organizations or businesses that you don't believe are ethical, that's the impact you're having. You're contributing to that impact. So really for me, a lot of this is just about creating more awareness. It's made me look deeper into where the money goes and who I'm supporting. And, is this going to go to an organization that's I think is going to be ethical and do something good with that money or not? So it's changed the way I spend my money, and it's changed the way I consume. And I also don't like the fact that there's a lot of fast fashion in the world. So I don't buy new clothes from shops pretty much anymore, for the most part. I buy stuff secondhand online from eBay or charity shops or things like that. So I know that there's clothing not going to a landfill. I'm not contributing to them making more clothes that are going to end up in landfill. So look, no system is perfect, but that's ways I've chosen to have an impact with the world. And that's something that I do myself and something that feels very aligned because it aligns with my priorities and what feels good for me. I also believe that the things we do every day create impact. And we can dismiss these little things because they don't feel big enough. They don't feel large enough. But if everybody gets clear on their priorities and what aligns for them, and they're choosing things that truly align, that is when the world changes. So you can start to look at things like your shopping habits and your buying habits and saying, okay, what are my priorities in the way I spend my money? What are my priorities in the food I put in my body and what I consume? These are ways that you can start to look at it, and it may feel small, but it has an impact on your life and it will have an impact on the world around you. So let me know if there's any questions. Again, I know that's just one example. But you can also look at things like, I'll come back to the comments in 1 second. Oh no, I'll do it now because I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Michelle, finding collective energy tough as well as my own stuff, particularly after just having a baby. Yeah, so it's all good. So if your priority now is baby, then great. That can be your impact, is raising an awesome human being. That's kind of a big thing. Yes, having a baby is definitely huge. Tracy, haven't been spending money lately. Food only, nothing inspires me. Okay, so this is where you've got to go to your feelings. And you can look at what are the things in the world, what are the stories or the people that I hear about, that I listen to, And again, they may be very different from you in lots of ways. Their circumstances can be very different, but there's a core of truth in people's stories. There's a core of truth in what they speak about. And if you listen to people, and you can start to find the resonance in those cores. So you may find that there are certain types of activists that you listen to that light you up, that you go, oh yeah, I can totally get on board with that. You may listen to, I don't know, a group of teachers that are speaking about something that you really align with, and you go, oh yeah, I totally get that. I mean, it can be anyone and everyone. But what I would say is that, and I know we're, with the world right now, things being very closed down and shut down, we feel very closed and shut down in a lot of ways. So now's the time to explore and to learn and to be educated. And you can do that in loads of ways. So read some new books, find some new podcasts, speak to some new people outside of your normal circle. If you haven't, if you've been speaking to the same people for the past 6 months, it's time to speak to some new people. Because when we feel uninspired, it's because our life is too much the same. It's because we're doing the same stuff over and over again. We're consuming the same stuff over and over again, and it's not really fulfilling what we need or want inside of us. So it's time to open up that circle of either communication or learning or going out to a new place, go to a new town, do something different. It's time to disrupt your life. When you feel uninspired, it's time to disrupt your life and do something new. Always, every time. Yeah. So I really think it's really about looking at getting clear on your why you're wanting a thing to change. And again, there will be some people who they're inspired when they feel like there's justice in the world, or when they feel like people are being treated with dignity and respect. I mean, I think most people can get on board with that. Maybe not everybody. But yeah, there are things like this that you can become involved in. But again, all of this stuff will start with you. It will start with the way you treat other people. It will start with the way you have conversations and the relationships you have in your life. So really all of this really comes back down to what are the types of relationships that you are building, and are you contributing to other people's lives in happy and healthy ways. And you do that through being happy and healthy yourself too. So Tracy, integrity, centeredness, and lightness of spirit is what I see in others that I would like. Perfect. So find ways to apply that. You want to move to Sky, but hubby's not ready. Just go with Adam. I'm just kidding. Keep having those conversations. Abby, I feel inspired by sharing my artwork and healing journey. Awesome. I feel like I've gained clarity with this, but still in the beginning stages. Also inspired by being a mother. Now I'm making an impact with my children, what we're learning from each other. Perfect. That is all perfect. And so that's the impact you're having on the world. And again, some of that may be in like more beginning stages, but you can continue with that and you can allow that to grow. So that sounds perfect and amazing. And I think once you get into it, I was speaking to somebody earlier about this. She was like, I just don't know where to begin with something. And I was like, yeah, sometimes that can feel like the hard part. Once you begin, a lot of these things kind of, if they're really in synchronicity, if they're really in alignment for you, they'll start to unfold, and you'll start to find ways to do it more and more and more because it feels easy or natural. If it really aligns, it doesn't feel that hard. I'm not saying that it's always going to be smooth sailing, but there's something in you that feels aligned with it and that feels happy to be a part of that. Christine, I'm so inspired by my daughter. Awesome. That's great. So have a look at what inspires you from her and apply that yourself. You'll have those same qualities and traits. If you can see it in another and are inspired by it, it's already within you. It's already there. So I think with impact, again, I'm going to go back to that, it's less about the pushing, it's less about the effort. It's less about trying to make things happen. I think we get into this way of thinking that we've got to make things happen. And we make things so hard on ourselves, and we push and we push and we push and it doesn't work. But it's because we haven't really gotten clear on that why. We haven't really understood the why behind it. Because I could just say, I'm going to change my spending habits. But if I didn't have a really clear why behind that, if there wasn't, if I wasn't so inspired, because I'm really inspired by people who are doing business differently, by like B1G1 and businesses who, you buy one, give one, or they, there's social enterprises, there's all these different amazing things that businesses are doing. So that's what I'm looking for. I want to put my money to those people and to those products and to those businesses. So I get really excited by that stuff because it aligns with me. It speaks to me. And that makes it so much easier for me to put money towards businesses that have integrity and treat their employees with dignity and want there to be more respect in the world, or they want to take care of the world. So the more you can understand the why behind those choices, the easier it is to live that, and the greater the impact you have. And the cool thing is that people can learn from you just by you doing what you naturally do in whatever capacity that is. So again, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves for it to be this big, massive thing. It's got to be really difficult and hard, but it's not. Our greatest impact comes from who we naturally are, by us being ourselves and making choices that align. So hopefully that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us into a meditation. So within the meditation, there's going to be some healing energy coming in. Awesome. And so anything that you're ready to release, whether that's a lack of clarity or some resistance or some fear around this stuff, there's the invitation is there for you to do that. We will, I'll be tuning in and clearing energy as we go. And you can set some intentions. So if you're wanting more clarity, then you can ask for that. If you feel like you've got some clarity, but you're wanting some more direction or some information on your steps forward or how you can have a greater impact, you can just be open for whatever comes through. So I'm going to invite you to, as we go through the meditation, just allow yourself to relax and receive. We get really caught up in trying to hold or control things or push things or make things happen during the day. So the invitation is for your body to soften, for your mind to be at peace. So you are really in a receiving mode, and this will allow you to receive answers. So you might see them in your mind's eye, you may hear them, you may feel them, you may just know them. So just set the intention that you really allow yourself to gain some clarity and some understanding through this. And just see what happens. You might be pleasantly surprised. Right, so taking a couple nice deep breaths. Close your eyes. And allow yourself to take some full body breaths. So as you breathe in, you can feel that air filling your whole body. And as you breathe out, you can feel your muscles relax. You feel your joints soften. Feel your face muscles relax. Any tension or stress starting to resolve or leave your body. Every time you breathe in, you're breathing in more love, more peace, more joy. Breathing out, you feel calmer, more centered, and more present. Just allow yourself to gently scan through your body into any areas of heaviness, any anger, any hurt or pain. And every time you breathe in and out, I just want you to feel that loosening, lightening, starting to shift within you. We so often use our suffering and pain to motivate us. But really what it does is weighs us down. So let's release those emotions from the obligation of motivating you to be better or do better. Any pain or fear that you're holding from perceived injustices or things being unfair, people or animals or the planet being abused or misused, people who are being dishonest, all the people who are really scared, trying to control things. Just allow all that to resolve within you. And all the efforts that you've been making to try to fight back, or push back, that you've been battling with. I want you to breathe into that too and feel more at peace, more centered, and stronger within yourself. And all those ways that you've been reacting to the world lately, where you've reacted out of anger or fear, where you reacted out of frustration, disappointment, judgment. I want you to breathe deep and feel your body expand. Allow yourself to expand into the energy of responding instead of reacting. So feel the space and the spaciousness and the energy of responding. Recognizing the clarity that's there, the understanding that's there, the consideration. And notice how centered you feel, how much more aligned you feel, how things feel more possible, more graceful, and more in flow as you stop pushing, start listening. You start communicating. And you allow yourself to be in communion with your community, with your family, with the world. And allow yourself to feel inspired by your capacity to respond with grace and the communion you have with others. And as you connect with that tribe, that community that's based in deep respect and honor and resonance, ask yourself, what type of impact do I want to create? What type of impact do I want to create in my own life? What kinds of impact do I want to witness within my family? What type of impact do I want to see in my community? And what do I want to contribute to in this world? What ways can I be of service to the world in my daily life, on a regular basis, or as or when I feel called? And what is the why that inspires me? How will this contribute to a better quality of life for myself or others? How will this impact create more love in the world? How will this impact bring more dignity into people's lives? How can I contribute to a cleaner world, to a healthier world, to a joyful world? What is within me that is of service to the world? What is inspiring within me that contributes to the world? What is loving and dignified within me that will contribute to the world? Take a few nice deep breaths. Whatever wisdom or information that's coming in, allow yourself to receive it, to feel it in your physical body. Breathe it in through your lungs. Let it move through your heart, your blood, through your body. Feel its physical presence right now. And take a few nice deep breaths. And whenever you are ready, you can open your eyes. Feel free to sit for a few minutes longer if you'd like. And if anyone would like to share any insights or information that came through, we would really love to hear that. I felt like there was some pretty epic stuff coming through. So what I would encourage you to do, and you can set the intention that you, process this in your sleep. So sometimes you may remember dreams about it, or it may feel clearer for you tomorrow. So talk about sleeping on it. Our mind and our bodies process through all that stuff as we sleep. I would set the intention to just have more and more clarity on what your priorities are in life, on what you want to contribute to, on what feels important for you. And again, remembering that this starts with you. It starts in your home. It starts with your family and friends, and the things that you do every day. And then if there are bigger things that you want to contribute to and be a part of, yes, absolutely do that. But allow yourself to recognize the impact that you make for yourself and for those around you, because that's important. For real. I think we can tend to dismiss that, but it's important. The impact we have on our friends and family is pretty epic and amazing, and we don't always recognize it. We don't always hear about it. We don't always know. Not everybody's a great communicator of their feelings, or so they may not tell you. Yes, hopefully that's brought in some clarity and some inspiration as well. So really look at the things that are going to feel like they really flow with you, they really align for you. If it's a big push, or if there's a lot of heavy negative energy behind it, that's not it. You've missed something. So allow yourself to recognize, okay, what feels aligned, what feels like I can do on a regular daily basis, that I can sustain, that feels like it works. Absolutely. Yes. I'll give you all another couple minutes just in case anybody wants to share, ask any questions. So be in touch with me and let me know how things are going, and if anything comes up around this. You can send me a private message through the page. You can send me a message through my website. It'd be great to hear from you. This is something that I'm really interested in, and we could really talk about this all day. I was trying to be concise there. Here we go. Tracy, fighting relaxing into this. I know I was hitting the good stuff. Yeah, that's how you know. I remember that other people have told me I'm inspirational. Good. And I choose to forget that. Yeah. I have a lot of wisdom and life experience that I do not use. The page jumped. That I do use to support others. I'm already making an impact. Yes. Perfect. Definitely. Michelle, absolutely. Thank you. Right on about impacting our little family at the minute, more manageable to see. Definitely. Definitely will process the sleep. Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is it. I think families and moms can kind of they do that thing of I'm just a mom. There's no just in there. It's a big job. And it obviously is going to have an impact in the world. So absolutely. Take it easy on yourself. We become so critical, and we want to push ourselves to do more when actually a lot of times we're doing amazingly. We're doing amazing stuff. We're just not always seeing it. Right. Cool. So unless there's any last questions or comments, that will be us for today. If anyone is interested in the Basic Theta Healing online course, I'm going to be teaching it in a week. So starting the 14th through the 16th. So the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Please get in touch if you're interested. We have some spaces left, and I'm not going to teach it again for a little while. So if you feel called to take this class with me, take it now. But feel free to ask me any questions or anything that you got around that. And then we've got the next new moon in Leo on the 18th of August. And I'll be here and there doing stuff on Facebook and elsewhere as well. Thank you to Beth. Felt the healing energy. Good. Heard of the word forum at the end, which I was asking about how I might help rewilding. So I might join. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That's some good insight. Yeah, have fun with that. Let me know how it goes. Lissa, felt more expansion and loosening in there. Perfect. Thank you too, Allison. Yeah. We gotta stop putting so much pressure on ourselves. Definitely. Time to breathe into this stuff. Right. Well, I think that is it from us, from me, definitely. Thank y'all so much for joining. I love doing these, and the community in the group is awesome. Y'all make these really fun. So I will be in touch about some future live events, and any questions about connecting with me or anything, be in touch, and sending y'all loads and loads of love and healing, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Oh, Abby, feeling inspired right now. Lots of clarity came through. Feel like I'm on the right track. Perfect. Awesome. So I hope all of y'all are feeling the same way. So sending you loads of love and blessings. Have a wonderful weekend, and see you soon.